everybody, it's Jenny Craig Brown here, and I am here in what I like to call Miss Brown. This is a 1981 Ford F100. Adam's going to tell us a little bit more about it, but I bought this truck as something to learn how to work on vehicles with, and I came to Currie Ford today to hopefully learn a little bit more about the truck itself, the history behind it, and maybe look at what today's sort of version looks like as well. So Adam, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more.
Hi guys, I'm Adam here with Currie Motorsport of Valpo. Today, obviously, we're sitting in this 1981 Ford F100, and you can see it's got the beautiful nutmeg interior, and it's got the chamois brown on the exterior of the vehicle as well. Ford actually began the F-Series back in 1948 when they brought out the F1, and then in 1953, they switched over to the Ford F100. They ran the F100 all the way up until 1983, and in 1975 they brought out the F150, which is kind of more of the truck that we see today. Obviously there's a lot of differences between the 1981 and what we have here now in 2024, as a lot's changed over the 40 years, such as the manual transmission is no longer offered in the F-Series truck. Things like that, but a lot is different, and we're going to take a little bit of a look at that today. AC back in the 1980s was an option, and you can see that this one here does have the air conditioning unit in it as well. The instrument cluster is totally different. Obviously now they've gone full digital versus having all the analog gauges and everything like that, so there's quite a bit.
And do you know anything on, this is the Explorer model.
Mm-hmm.
I only know that because it says so on the front of the truck on the hood ornament. What does that mean? So
the Explorer was pretty much a trim level, which you could actually get the Explorer in 4 different packages. They had A, B, C, and D is what they labeled them from the manufacturer, right? The A would be more towards the base model, and obviously the higher you go, the more things that they add into the vehicle. Different kinds of badging, like some of them will say Ranger on the side, some of them will even say Ranger XLT. You'll notice that in the C and the D packages, and so on and so forth.
Okay, that's interesting. Great to know. Well, let's check out the Ford. So as you mentioned, they stopped making the Ford F100. I think you said 85?
1983 was the last year for the F100.
1983 was the last year. So let's check out what would be comparable today, which would be probably a new Ford F150, correct?
Correct, yep.
I'd love to see it. All right.
All right, guys, so now we're going to take a look at the new 2024 F-150. I do want to start by stating that this one does have the V6 under the hood, which is similar to the 1981 that we looked at, as it just had an inline 6-cylinder engine. This one does have turbos on it, which is going to be different from the 1981, and that takes this one up to about 325 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque, so you get plenty of performance out of these newer F-150s here as well. Also, you're going to notice Ford's badging. It does look a little bit better now than it did back then. Ford has also added in a lot of stuff like tow hooks and things like that to make it a little bit more functional. Obviously, you'll notice the headlight design has changed over the years. As we work our way around to the side, they did have to add in some running boards on some of these things, as they do sit up a little bit higher than they used to. Makes it a little bit easier getting in and out of the vehicle as well. When we move towards the back, you'll notice the 4x4 badging. And Ford still actually does a full leaf spring setup, which Ford is the only one in a half-ton configuration that still do full leaf springs. Go ahead and open up the tailgate. This one does have the 8-foot bed, which is the longest bed option. And they've also built in some tie-down points in these, which they didn't do back in the day as well. When I open up the fuel door, you'll notice here that they actually have a full capless fuel system. Once again, a little bit different than the 80s. This is a design that they basically stole straight from NASCAR. It's self-pressurizing and anti-siphoning, so nobody can put anything in and nobody can take anything out. And then we could work our way to the driver's seat and take a look on the inside, where once again, everything is completely different.
All right, guys, so after taking a look at our blast from the past with the 1981 F100 and showing you a new F150, we decided we also wanted to show you a little bit of what we can do with the F150 these days as well. So I'm going to start by going ahead and popping the hood.
And under the hood, you'll notice that we've actually supercharged this 5-liter V8. It's putting out over 700 horsepower. Just one of the performance things that we could do with the vehicles, and I'm a huge sucker for it. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the hood, and we'll take a step around and look at some of the other things as well. We've also added custom 22-inch chrome wheels. We've tinted out the windows on this one as well to give it that blacked out look, which is pretty sharp. We've also done aftermarket exhaust on this one as well, so to give it that really nice sound too. All right, and lastly on the truck, I'd like to point out the bumpers right down here as well. This is an XL F-150, which is kind of your base model. So on the base model, obviously they like to do a lot of black stuff. But on this one here, we've actually color matched the bumpers to the rest of the truck as well. Just one of the additional things that we can do to kind of give it that better sporty, good look to it as well.